The Friday Vibe on WNUT.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Brandon, just hanging out in the studio today on WNUT. Check it out. We've been getting some really good feedback on WNUT episode 28, also known as Friday Vibin'. So what I thought we might do is try kind of a weekly Friday segment, sort of like Commander does the Week in Review, where I come on every Friday and play you a song that's going to capture that Friday vibe and send you into your weekend feeling good. Maybe give you a little bit of history behind it, a personal anecdote, something like that, you know, sort of like what I did on episode 28 there for each artist or song that I played. So today, to kick off this little experiment, I thought I might do something that's actually a WNUT tradition going all the way back to 1994. But before I get ahead of myself, let me tell you a little bit about this artist that I got lined up today. This is a dude, actually used to be a band called Alice Cooper. Now, the dude, Alice Cooper, is still recording and touring today. He's on tour this summer with Rob Zombie, in fact. But back in the day, his band was called Alice Cooper. He was just a foot soldier, merely a foot soldier in that group, bringing you the rock and roll. They were signed to Straight Records in 1969. They put out their debut album, The Year of Woodstock, for Christ's sake, discovered by Frank Zappa. It was actually Frank Zappa's record label that released their first album. So Zappa discovers them. They put out an album called Pretty's For You, which basically is very Zappa-like. There's a lot of psychedelic elements to it, a lot of experimental sort of avant-garde rock, you know, does not resemble the Alice Cooper you might know and love today. Now, the following year, 1970, saw Easy Action. That was their second album. Started to move a little more in the direction of, rock and roll as we know Alice Cooper doing rock and roll these days. There were moments on that album that sounded a bit more like the Animals or the Who, but still a lot of psychedelic in there. The end of 1970 had a breakout single for the band called I'm 18, which would appear on their first Warner Brothers album the following year, Love It to Death. That album and single changed the game for Alice Cooper, and nothing would ever be the same. A mad string of successes would follow. Albums like $1 Billion Babies, Welcome to My Nightmare, and the very one that brought you the title track I'm going to play for you today. That's right, School's Out. Now, I don't know how I came to know about School's Out. I don't know when I first heard it. It's just, when you became a teenager, you just sort of were aware of School's Out. It just became a thing that you sang on the last day of school every year. I don't know. Maybe we all saw it in a sitcom or movies or something like that. I would later come to know it through the movie Dazed and Confused, but I had not seen that back when I bought the cassette of Alice Cooper's School's Out album, and I had never seen that movie back when we rolled it for the first time on WNUT. So literally, it was just one of those songs that sort of entered your awareness at some point. Probably still does. I know I still know teenagers that know and love Alice Cooper and sing that song today. So that's badass. That tradition continues now 50 years on. But interestingly enough, Alice Cooper's popularity would start to kind of fade as the 70s rolled on and became the 80s. And, it was one of those things. It's a natural cycle. Most bands can't maintain that sort of momentum for very long. But Alice Cooper would see a huge career resurgence by 1988, 1989, when he got together with professional songwriter and producer Desmond Child for the album Trash, which was a massive comeback success for the dude. By that time, the Alice Cooper band that I mentioned earlier had broken up. He was, for all intents and purposes, Alice Cooper solo at that point. A very high-profile appearance in the movie Wayne's World followed soon after that, putting Alice Cooper really back in sort of the pop culture visibility in a big, big way. So Alice Cooper really came back towards the late 80s, early 90s, and in my opinion, culminated with probably the best album of the man's career in 1994 called The Last Temptation, which actually featured a 3-part comic book series written by Neil Gaiman. Oh my God, we devoted quite a bit of time on WNUT episode 6 back in the summer of 94 to that album and some of the music from it. Carl and I were very high on that album, and to be honest, we both still are to this day. So lifelong Alice Cooper fan here. I saw the man perform live in 2017 in Augusta. Incredible show, still going strong into his 70s. The man is 75 years old this year and tearing it up, like I said, on tour with Rob Zombie. So big respect to him. I distinctly remember a moment in that show where he has a knife in his hand hand, like a military style sort of bayonet knife, and he's walking across the front of the stage. He's going from like stage right to stage left. I think if I've got my stage directions correctly. I can't remember if that's from the audience's perspective or looking at the audience, but either way, he's walking across the stage. He casually just flicks his wrist, throws the knife down at his feet where it sticks point down perfectly into like a block of wood that's placed there, presumably for that purpose. I mean, effortlessly. Like while he's singing a line, he just flicks this knife down, sticks it like dead on bullseye into this thing that he's got there on the stage. I will never forget that moment. I remember thinking like, what a badass. Like he's not even missing a note. He's not missing a beat. And he's basically just like, doing knife target practice for kicks while he's doing it. So Alice Cooper's amazing. Going back to episode 5 of WNUT, Daniel and I, when we had our last day of school that year, we did a WNUT episode, and we ended the episode with Alice Cooper's School's Out. Eric and I, in 1997, when we had our last day of school, we ended the episode with Alice Cooper's School's Out. It's June, it's the end of the school year, a lot of people are getting out for the summer. I'm not in school anymore, but hey, it's a WNUT tradition. Why don't we go ahead and celebrate this Friday vibe with Alice Cooper, School's Out. This one is for each and every one of you about to head carefree into a summer of nothing but fun, excitement, and adventure. Straight from us at WNUT for you on the Friday Vibe.